about it, your point of view.
Sorry?
Talk a bit about the squad for your point of view.
Yeah, it's been devastating days because it's not so much celebrating the squad, it's more the pain that we all feel of leaving players home. We have done everything in our capacity to go through everything, every single detail to come to the decisions that we had to make. I've told you already before that every week we went through all the players, all the games, every moment of every player we've seen that they have played. And it came to that we gave a few players extra chances. Said every player get the chance till the last second. And that's exactly what we did. On Monday night, we finished at 1 a.m. We said, guys, we need to sleep now because the tiredness came in too much. 8 a.m. we're here again, get a few hours of sleep. From that moment, we went into the training. After the training, we've seen the video again to give every single player, especially the hardest decisions, to view that again. We are convinced that we've made the right decisions, although they've been very, very virtually.
In terms of the squad itself, when did you settle on it? Was it just before you told the players, or, you said you come back together? Did it take you long when you come back together the next morning to sort of decide that was it?
Sorry, I don't understand.
The next morning when you come back together?
Yes.
As a management group, when did you decide that was your 23? Was it a couple of hours later? How long more deliberation?
Well, of course, we have been growing to the 23+3. But the final decision has been made after the training, after we've seen the video, and that we said, we have to take this decision. There's no other way. And that's technically, and that's elite sport, but it doesn't mean that it's I've broken dreams, and it's so hard for them because that World Cup will never come back.
What was it like though, delivering that news, delivering the message to the players that weren't in the squad?
And let me really say, it's for them the hardest step. It's for them the hardest. We had to go through this, and it was difficult.
Very difficult. In terms of the squad, there's a couple of players who we knew that were potentially injuries, had injuries. Jan Kiernan and Jamie Finn are probably the two players that a lot of people expected to be in there. Jamie hasn't played every game bar this Slovakia qualifier away. Can you talk a little about the decision maybe to leave them two of?
Yeah, let's go for Jamie, because Jamie, that has been the hardest. That's been the hardest decision. And of course we know that she's been part of that squad all the time. But you've also noticed that we've changed playing system. We have Kira Carusa now as a target player that brought Heather Payne to the right side with pace over the wing. And there's also players who jumped up levels who've showed against Zambia. You've seen them yourself. So those options bring that you have to take tough decisions. And Jamie, especially because she played and the credits that she has, we've gone through every single video moment of her, also the last 2 weeks. So it's not just a moment, but you've seen also that Jamie was not involved in the last few games. And that's technical, it's not because of her. And that is team sport, that is elite sport, that's football, as much as we wanted her to be part of it. So I'm so happy that she's still part of our squad, that she's traveling with us, that she will be together with Harriet Scott, full member of the squad at every moment. I've had contact yesterday 3 times with FIFA to make sure that everything is arranged for them and the way how to handle it, and that they are aware that we bring those players, that they are full part of the squad. So we really take care of that because it's so important that Jamie and Harriet are involved. What about Leanne? Leanne, it's unfortunately the football fitness that's part of that. We all know that she played only 30 minutes in a year, then 45 minutes now. In September, it's a year ago. And we had given her the chance to fully train, to be with us. And she did well. She did really, really well. But the data show that the time between explosive actions are already getting longer during the first half. And that means that if other players are performing at a higher level, that technically you have to take that decision. because it's World Cup level. It's even twice as high level than what we met against Zambia. And so we had to take the decision on that. So it has nothing to do with if she didn't give her all, that we did not give her all the chances, because we did. We brought her in, she grew and she grew. It's just that it's just a little bit too early. Unfortunately. Can I ask the fourth goalkeeper decision as well? Yeah, that's okay. It's Robin as a training player. Yeah, is that for training purposes? You have the rules and regulations are that you have to have 3 goalkeepers on the team sheet. So if there's a goalkeeper match day -1 getting injured, we do not have 3 goalkeepers on the team sheet. So we have to bring an extra goalkeeper as a training player. And if we would not have had this decision from FIFA to be able to bring training players, we would have brought a goalkeeper anyway, but then not part of the squad, to be there in Australia. Because you cannot fly in a goalkeeper at the last moment. If the World Cup would have been in Europe, you can fly in a goalkeeper like that in Australia. There's another issue, and when we're there, we must play 7-a-side to be ready for the next game. So you have, at training purposes, you have to have 4 goalkeepers.
You mentioned that game against Zambia. How important was that for your final decision with the likes of, say, Amber Barrett, who spoke openly about she wasn't sure if she was going to be picked? Did that play a part in your mind?
Yes, very much so. And with all the players spoken, specifically with Amber, this is the moment, Amber, that you have to show. She said herself, she's a very honest player. She's very open about that, and she knew you cannot lean on one moment. And but Amber, she showed now she's a player that when it really matters, when the pressure is on, she's there. And she showed that against Zambia again. So it reinforces the right decision to bring her on against Scotland. Then not only that goal, but that she's the player that can do that, and that's so special. So yeah, after Zambia, she made the squad. Yeah. But before Zambia, indeed, it was still whether it was her or another thing.
Yeah, Vera talks a lot about the disappointment and how hard it was to tell certain players that they're not getting in the squad. But also, we're going to our first ever World Cup. It is a day of celebration in other ways as well. Yeah. Was there any particular moment that you had telling your pain? Maybe some of the ones that Isabel consider someone who no one really expected to get into the squad initially, that you were like, that actually did feel really good. And I'm glad I had this opportunity with this team.
We haven't been able to sit down one-on-one with the players who made the squad. We have put our full energy into the players who did not make the squad. And then we brought in all the players. And to be honest, it was not a celebration. All the players to tell that they were on the squad. There were tears, of course, there were tears also of I'm going, but there were most of it tears of pain for the others.
How close to sleep, Bill?
Enough, but I take no chance. And that's devastation. She flew in on Monday to have this last talk with medical staff, myself, with Kerr. It was a very clear talk. She was very strong. We went back to all the specialists. We went back to if there is any opening, but the full 11 contact would be between just before the Australia game or between Australia and Canada game. That would be the first minutes of 11 side on the pitch. And that is too late. Unfortunately, timed her out.
So she actually just happened to forward, like it wasn't a fitness insertion. She's actually not fully recovered from that knee.
No, she's in the return to play operator. And that return to play takes a certain time. And the chance is zero. And to make, she could play 5 minutes maybe in the second or third game, but that's not enough for World Cup.
So actually, then Megan, similar situation.
Similar Megan, yeah. She will get fit again, but unfortunately there is no chance to. With her throw, you either go maybe to the miss. I've been pity, but if it's either that, then she will change. The risk would have been too big, and she would never pay that to still go into the World Cup. So that can't.
So what is that injury with Megan exactly? Wigan Campbell, what was the nature of that injury?
I think that's a medical issue, and I'm not allowed to tell. Sure. It's not a special, but yeah. It's I'd say for the see what I cannot be, but
earlier. So all those are just they're on the return basis of 20 issue. Like it's not anything till 8 months. Well, with the bigger picture rather than individual players too, like, Women's National League. So we had it both.
Sorry, yes, sir.
Home base set effectively weekly from January through to May or whatever, and we still have 2 players in the National League in the squad that we potentially or that we had before the home base sessions. So, what do you feel is there a message here about that the Women's National League needs to up its game, or in terms of the fitness and the type of fitness that you cherish?
Yeah, well, it's no secret that our National League is not at the level as the WSL Nederland. I had that fear. Those sessions had been really, really important to get not only Olga and Abby on the level of the others, they are now physically on the level of the others. The data show that. So it's been incredibly successful. But Erin McLaughlin was in the squad. Tara, Aaron was in the squad. And Tara, the only reason why she did not make it was because Izzy Atkinson was jumping up. And so, well, we all know that. We've all seen that. And that's no secret, right? But she was ready as a 17, 18-year-old in March. She turned 18 to play at this level. So the home-based sessions and the way that we've approached that with expressivity, circuits, with power, with playing against boys, that has made the difference. And Abby would not have been at the level she's now without that. Aaron and Tara also not. Yeah. Olja is, of course, she has so many caps and such a training age behind her. She would have been able to do it herself because she was training with boys all the time. But it's been incredibly successful. That's one day.
So is there something there that you will be working with, say, with Eileen Gleeson in terms of the National League and with the standard of women's football in the company? The next a bit.
Well, it's not so much with Eileen. Eileen is working with the clubs, of course, and she's the head of women's football. But it's more like to share our experiences of that whole day session with the clubs, so that maybe they could bring that program on, because it's easy. It's so easy the way what we do. You've seen it yourself, but it's so effective, and that I think that is the key thing. That in easy ways you can make huge steps just by doing a few project things in it. Amber Barrett, for example, she hadn't played at the club, and she asked me, what can I do to at least get match fit? It's a very simple program that I gave her, and she just did it aside her flood training or after the game that she didn't play. Very simple, and she's completely fit. So I hope that I can share. After the World Cup, we will have a conference. When it's not clear yet if it's straight after or is it later in the year. It's probably closer to December than earlier, but then we will share every single detail.
Vera, you're a very experienced international.
No, as well, there's 9 players in the squad that were National League players, that Salesman and wearing boots as well. Sure.
You're an experienced international coach. You've been to these big tournaments before. This feels as though it was a harder decision-making process or a more emotional one.
Yeah, I've never experienced this before.
Any reason for that? Is it the group?
It's the bond that I have with the players. It's the hard work. It's also how they stood behind me in difficult times. It's how the FEI stood behind me. It's how Ireland has embraced me. It's everything together, I think. Telling players that really stood up for you, that you're not taking them to the World Cup and break their dreams. Yeah.
And after this emotion, it's part of your job now to actually take that down so that they turn up for the Australia game and they're ready to play a football match, which it feels...
But they will. If you see the training sessions, the power they put in it, there's no influence in that. But I've spoken to Louise Quinn last night for a moment, and she said that she also got hit by the pain more than the celebration of making it. And I think that shows how strong this team is, how we've built together, how close we are. With each their task, and with me being having the harsh task, and to make those final decisions, be responsible for the final decisions. I think that all together made it so difficult and makes it the worst day in my career, actually, technically seen. Yeah.
and the best.
Not
So-
the best. No. Yesterday was the worst day of my career, and hopefully from today onwards it will become the best day of my career. Right. Vera, what's the plan? Did the players train today or? Today they do recovery. As I said, yesterday we had a full football conditioning session, and these weeks we set up in a way that we're not constantly together. Remember, so they do their own recovery. They have the program, but some do it in the morning, some in the afternoon. Tomorrow we train again, and then Friday is the big, powerful football conditioning session that we have to get the boost for the World Cup.
Kurt, may I ask on, you talked a little bit about players maybe not having as much minutes as they would have liked. There's a couple in there as well that haven't played that much with injuries as well and coming back as well as you talked about Amber. How are you going to manage them over the next week or two or leading into that Australia game?
We had 2 weeks in camp, and we started on all different levels. We're almost equal now, and I'm so proud that together with the technical staff and the medical staff, that we set a program. We have not changed anything of the planned program, and there's no injuries. There's not even a little muscle injury or an ankle injury. There's nothing at all in our camp, and the fitness levels are jumping up. So I'm really, really proud of that. I have no doubt that everybody will be ready. Touch wood, by the way.
Did quite that France game on a lot of players who maybe haven't played minutes as well? Or do you look at some of the players who are just come in? So say, for example, Sinead Farrelly's played one cap for Ireland, who's been playing the end of himself. Would you target the players who maybe haven't played as much, or would you love to see some of your players who have just come in?
No, the France game is fully preparation for the Australia game, so the best team will start. And then we see if players need time minutes.
Vera, was it always the plan to have Sinead Farrelly and she in the squad once they declared?
Sinead Farrelly?
Yeah.
Yeah. You've seen her quality, yeah?
Yeah.
USA game, first cap into a squad, completely new, being so dominant. And she has done everything herself. And after she got her passport, we got contact. So her heart is she wants to be here. And that was before we qualified. She started a process far before we qualified. And we've had many, many players being dumped on my desk, in my email then, that tried to jump on the bandwagon because there's a World Cup that we qualified for. We did not go into that. We only went for the players who were there and who fully, with their full heart, done all the job that they had to do over the last 2 years, because it's a 2-year process. And Sinead only got in contact after she got her passport. Marissa was before we qualified already, that process was going on. And the only thing that we helped her is with the clearance for playing final.
And in terms of the environment, the other flip side, the other question is in terms of having 2 players now in the squads, a real positive, because probably the first time ever at the Glen tournament that the Wee League of Ireland are playing the World Cup and the punt.
Yeah, and all the players that came from the League of Ireland and went to, we do not be far, because we all know the difference in financial resources that WSL clubs get from the club, from sponsoring. And maybe that we should not aim for that. Maybe we should aim for focusing on quality, which we do already for years. If you see the difference where the league is now when I started 4 years ago, I have nothing to do with that. That is all my colleagues working on that and the clubs themselves. If you see the difference in that's amazing. So we can only grow from that and get more players like Abby and Tara jumping up. And the only reason why Tara is not making it, and that's not a secret, we've all seen that since before. It's because Izzy is jumping up 5 levels at the moment.
Okay, guys. Thanks, sir.